people, including a police officer, have been arrested following a child predator sting operation out of Berkshire County. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for Western Mass News at 10 on this Tuesday evening. I'm Chris Pisano. Western Mass News reporter Madison Lasowski has the latest.
Auburn police officer Dominic Bichette of Brookfield was placed on leave yesterday after state police arrested him in connection to this horrifying operation. Dominic Bichette has been an officer with Auburn Police since March of 2023, and now, just over 2 years later, he was arrested at his own place of work for crimes that his line of duty is supposed to protect the public from. He's arraigned on 2 charges, including sexual conduct with a child under 18 for a fee and enticement of a child under 16. Now, according to the Auburn Police Department, Bichette was placed on administrative duty leave and his gun license was suspended. Additionally, an internal affairs investigation is now underway. Still, Bichette is pleading not guilty to all charges and has since posted $5,000 bail. Bichette is just one of 10 that have been arrested. One of the arrests includes Gene Arce, a 39-year-old from Westfield. Arce was charged with the same crimes as Bichette, but also with attempting to commit a crime. Now, if you're wondering how this information was discovered, the Berkshire District Attorney's Office said that authorities conducted a 2-week investigation that was aimed at catching alleged child predators. It was established to, quote, apprehend individuals engaging in criminal activities connected to human trafficking crimes. As part of the operation, investigators posed as 14-year-old and 15-year-old girls on different online platforms and communicated with the suspects, then traveled to pre-arranged locations in the Berkshires where the suspects intended to pay money in exchange for sex with individuals under the age of 16. In response to the findings in this ongoing investigation, Berkshire District Attorney Timothy Shruge says, quote, sex trafficking is far more prevalent than most people realize. Through the governor's support, we are able to devote resources to disrupt and apprehend criminals looking to exploit victims of human trafficking. We'll continue to bring you the latest information surrounding this investigation, both on air and online, as soon as those details enter our newsroom. Reporting for Western Mass News, I'm Madison Lasowski.